So obviously you've been seeing me wear the blue light glasses, right?
Yeah.
Well, they are from the Venturo collection, man. In terms of, with this company, they take a lot of pride in making sure that everything is done in-house. A lot of love, a lot of care. But more importantly, they don't do a ton of mass production. So when you talk about the quality of it, it's a lot nicer. They also do a ton of accessories and jewelry, right? Deke had a chance to see some of the watches that they make, and they're pretty daggone nice, might I
They're really
add.
nice.
Some of the jewelry, bracelets.
Well, I might need to
necklaces.
get some of those glasses too once I get LASIK coming up here, because those would be nice, little blue light action.
Absolutely, man. But they also have, your regular sunglasses as well. But the thing that they do that sets them apart from other brands are their price point. They try to be very affordable while still giving you a nice feel, a nice quality, to their stuff and things like that. So with that being said, when we talk about them, we got promo codes, and that promo code is MOATS. If you use that, you'll get 20% off along with free shipping on or at VenturoCollective.com. So you see it right there. So like I said, definitely want to check them out, show them some love. But, shout out to them. The accessory gang is fire. And like I said, it actually does help. I know for me, I like to keep my eyes working properly all this screen time I'll be having. So shout out to these blue lights, but more importantly, shout out to the Venturo Collective.
And to your point in saying, I don't think the game was as bad as the scoreboard indicated. It literally came down to those 3 touchdowns when we're talking about the first half. The one was on Minkah. That's on us. Minkah got to pick that off. And then the other 2 on A.J. Brown, I feel like Witherspoon, I don't know if we want to get into this. I feel like Witherspoon had good coverage on it, but there's got to be a reason that Tomlin benched him.
Well, so a couple of things, and let's talk about it. First off, with the A.J. Brown touchdowns. Yeah, the first one, cover 1, Minkah goes for it, just gets mossed. It's that simple. Second one, cover 1, you have Akhello, and it's one of them things where we can tip our cap and say great throw, great catch in terms of ball placement from Hurts and A.J. Brown. We could ask Akhello to try to, make a play, because we did see in the exact same setting Terrell Edmonds in that exact same,
and James Pierre
in that exact same situation, and both of those guys made plays. We don't look at Edmonds as elite cover guy. We don't look at Pierre as an elite,
and Brown ain't a burner like that.
Absolutely.
Either.
So once again, when we talk about 2 examples of guys that we don't view as the cover quality of Akhello making those exact same plays, and we look at Akhello in that situation on multiple times not make it, that's kind of the where I'm like, all right, how much credit do I give to A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, and how much do I say this is where Akhello has to be better? But that's a part of the discussion, right? And in terms of the decision to go ahead and pull Akhello at that time, I thought it was multifaceted. I thought the first part was when you're in the game and you're down on that field, bro, good throw and catch, it's cool for us to say here. But in the moment, like when it's the first time it happens, you're like, all right, bro.
And they were copies of the same play. It was the exact same play.
So it's like the first time, all right, I give you a pass. When it happens 2 times, you looking at coach like, bruh, he can't cover him. Like, that's what you're saying on the sideline. Coach, he can't cover him.
So it ain't even about Witherspoon doing anything wrong necessarily.
We just like, bro.
A.J. Brown's too much.
It's like, yo, he's too much, clearly, because you just showed it with 2 deep touchdowns, identical, same part of the field. It's like, yo, coach, they're going to keep throwing this until. And what did Philly do? They kept throwing it until, right? The same way we kept throwing it at James Bradbury. That was how we do it, because that's what you do at the NFL level. If I feel like you're the weak link, I'm going to go at you until you prove otherwise, or they get you off the field. And that's what they did to Akhello. It was like, okay, we're going to keep going at him. What they started doing, vertical, stop, vertical, stop, route. And he couldn't handle it. And that's the part where, okay, it's like, man, in that moment, yeah, you're like, coach, man, you got to get him off. Or you got to switch your defense up. But at the time, the best approach that we were doing was the combination of blitzing, cover 1, Tampa 2, and running 2-man. Those are all the defense that we talked about coming into this day. Now, for the people that say, hey, man, we should run more zone, when we started to run more zone to safety look, that's when they started to run the ball more. And we had to pick and choose which one we wanted to do. And I love the approach of make it be a slow bleed, or in the sense of, not make it be a slow bleed, but in the sense of, we're going to make you have to hit these one-on-one balls on the outside, because prior to this game, we hadn't seen a lot of teams hit one-on-one balls on us consistently. But in that moment when it seems like it's just that player specifically over and over and over, it's like, all right, man, we got to do something. So I don't look at it as it was exclusively an Akhello issue, but in that particular setting, when it's happening the way that it did in such a short time, it's just one of them things where, hey, coach is going to make a move because he's feeling that sense of, man, this is going to get out of hand solely because this is a bad matchup. Not necessarily because we can't stop their offense, because we saw when they couldn't hit the deep throws, we could get them off the field. We could have success. But when they could consistently hit that type of pass right there, that you just can't live with it. So that's why we made the move. And Pierre did a really good job when he got his opportunities over there. But also the timing of the game was different in terms of they had already went up that extra score, right, at the end of it. So now when Pierre's in their mid-third quarter, it's just a little different in the sense of how aggressively they were hunting that. Now, they still gave him some chances.
They did it 2 times.
They definitely gave
one
it.
with Pierre and then Edmonds. They wanted to test it out, see if, all right, Witherspoon can't do it. Can these guys do it?
So they still did their due diligence, but you can see it wasn't as prevalent at that point. And then afterwards, like a series or two later, is when they switched that quarterback and kind of went forward, which is still crazy. I'm like, man, how the heck have we had 2 teams now that have put backups in? Like, that's embarrassing just on a professional level, not.
Yeah, and then they got Kelsey wearing the Batman mask on the sideline.
I'm just like, bro, that it was like they were clowning. That's the professional stuff where he's like, yo, but I can't be all the way pissed with them because you allowed it to happen in terms of the team. It's like, man, when you allow a team to do what they did on the field, they've earned the right to laugh and kid and all they want because they kicked our butt. But even with that big feeling, there's still the optimism because, like we talked about, all these things that we're speaking on are little things, but it sucks that they're still reoccurring, and that's the disconnect, and that's the part that we need to improve upon. But as a whole, these still aren't massive issues where it's like, yo, we can't fix this right here.
Just happens so fast when you get 14 points put up on the board on one play like that with Witherspoon. And I was,
dude.
Well, and even the one to, all 3 were to AJ Brown, but the one was to Edmonds in Minka's direction in double coverage. When it happens just like that, it kind of like jars you. It gets you a little disoriented.
Yeah, dude.
But when you really look at it, and as I was rewatching this today, I'm like, man, we were in this.
Yep.
We were moving the ball a ton on offense. Our defense, I thought, actually played pretty good outside of those 3 explosive plays.
We gave up the explosive plays.
And then we started getting pretty bad in the second half when after that fumble, the defense just looked a little lethargic and they were able to run it down our throats. But I think the game was already out of hand after that once we fumbled. Now, I was saying this even off the mic to you, going back to the Witherspoon thing. I do wonder if I get you in terms of like, oh, man, he can't cover him. Like, it's a terrible
I wasn't done with it either. I forgot. I'm glad you brought that up, too, because I did have one other part. The other part was first game back. So coming back from injury, first game back, also in the moment, a coach could feel like, hey, man, you know what? Maybe this was it was too soon. Not in the sense of he's not capable, but just in the sense of he's rusty right now. He hasn't been running with A.J. Brown type receivers in our practice yet, you know? Or in terms of the guys he's seeing on practice squad. He's not seeing those caliber guys. So when you get out there, no different. We talked about guys adjusting to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I looked at it and was like, okay, Akhello hasn't played in, 4 weeks, 5 weeks? It's like, man, that is also a part of it. When you just throw a guy out there and you're isolating him one-on-one versus A.J. Brown, which is already going to be a handful to deal with, all of that could be in factor as well. So part of, in terms of the removal of him, could have also been, hey, you know what, man? Let's just go ahead and shut you down, protect you. We're going to get you the next week, get you to the bye, and then we'll figure this thing out going forward. That was the other thought process. But in the moment, it's happening so fast.
Yeah.
And we don't, it's very different in terms of like how we look at it as like a fan or watching it versus when you're like down there and you're feeling that pressure building up and you're just like, bro, it seems like it's you. I don't know if it's really you, but it's seeming like it's you right now. You trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but you're also pissed, you know?
Yeah, because it was decent coverage, and this is what I was wondering. So this is like a whole nother perspective on it. I wonder if they were telling him, like, bro, in terms of leverage, the one thing you can't give up is the deep ball here.
That's what it always is.
The one thing you can't give up.
Give up the stop every time. I'd rather you get the 10, 15-yard stop route than that 30-yard bomb. Absolutely, man.
Yeah, with how we were playing defense, as you mentioned, with the blitz and everything. That's the one thing you don't give up. And even though the coverage was semi-good, you forced Jalen Hurts to make a really good throw. That's exactly what he did. But still, that could have been in your control if you would have just made Brown stay short on his routes and everything. Like, just take away the deep ball, and that's obviously not what happened.
Yeah.